Would it be protective legally if a couple signed a proof of live birth or certificate of live birth using by ARR without prejudice, non-assumption under their signatures while trying to accomplish proof of their baby's birth, but refusing that social security number to be issued to the child? Okay, so your question is, would it be productive legally? It would be, but the corporation is still created. And they're not going to not issue a social. What we teach is not to let them create the live born record or the birth certificate. Now, do they do that? No. Hospitals are, in many cases, statutorily required to report every birth. And so even if you walked in there and you gave them phony names, which I am not saying to do, they're going to, that would be the only way you can walk in a hospital, John Doe, Jane Doe, have a kid, pay cash, walk out and be safe knowing your kid is good. But if you walk in, Kelby Smith, date of birth 4/26/70, by the way, put that in your calendar. Just kidding. If you walk into a hospital and you give them your date of birth and your name, and your wife or girlfriend does the same, you're in a world of pain, because no matter what, statutorily, they're going to submit a Jane Doe record, even if you don't want to name the kid on that. And they do in a lot of cases with a social security number. And then when you apply for a passport, then it becomes a record issue because they have a Jane Doe record that child was created on such and such day by you two, as submitted by that hospital. And then people get into this, well, I never gave him permission, and you start arguing back and forth. So what needs to be done, and we're working on this right now, is the record needs to be created upon conception, not delivery. It is literally a falsity to think that life started at the time of a delivery. It actually started at the time of conception. And so the true birth date is the conception date. And it's hard to guess that, but when a couple creates their own live born birth, BERTH record, and puts that not necessarily into the public registry, but puts that into a public setting and then serves constructive notice, that is a title thing that trumps another title. So it could be that you could create a live birth, because I've seen babies get passports without a social security number or a birth certificate. I've done it for people. But it could be that you would be able to use the live birth record as the true born date. And because it is not a fallacy, it is in fact your truth. And then your claim of title trumps their claim of title because it comes first. And that works in everything from an operational law standpoint, is first come, first serve. And it's just like the re-inhabited republic. There's a lot of people claiming re-inhabitation of the republic right now, instead of identifying the fact that it was done 10 or so years ago by the whole nation. And so that claim of title was done, then the claim of interest on all the stolen possessions came back, and then we served constructive notice to all the countries around the world. And then the FBI, anyway, I'm off topic, but it's important to understand how powerful the claim of title is. So when you claim your title first, it trumps all other title that is claimed on that individual property, whatever, child. And so it's important, if you're going to have a kid, I would first try to do it with what are they called? Not a nanny, but what I mean, home birth nurse. I forget the name. And But even then, you may have to go to the hospital. And if you do go to the hospital, midwife, thank you. I wouldn't lie. What I would say is my name is private. I have cash. I'm going to birth this child here. Here's 10,000. How much more do you think you need? 5,000, whatever. How much more do you think you need? And they're not going to turn you away, but I wouldn't lie. But I would say my name is private. We're not going to be entering into an agreement. I'm going to birth my child and we're going to walk. And people think that you're not able to do that. I'm going to tell you, you are. I just helped a couple who did it through the state and they shouldn't have, but they clipped the kid with a bracelet, the parents with bracelets. Social service visited twice. They did a few things backwards that I would have done, but the guy overall was tight with what he did, and ultimately got his kid out with no birth certificate formed. And every situation is a little bit different. And so you might walk into that hospital, and I'll be more than happy to give you my name, but you need to understand, I already have a claim of title and birth certificate that is going to be created, and I do not authorize this hospital to create a birth certificate for me. There's all kinds of things that you might be able, they're not going to turn you down with your wife in full labor. You know what I'm saying? They have a duty and an obligation. That would be a horrible view upon that hospital. Getting them in there, and then, what are they going to do? You can serve them right then with your papers and just let them stew on it while your kid's being born. Yeah, social services may come in and do their little stand and threats, and they're not sometimes outwardly threatening, but sometimes they are. And we handle that. Don't worry about that. But if it were me and I had to go to a hospital and not use a midwife, I'd go in private. I'd just say, I'm not going to give you my name. I do have cash. We're going to birth this kid and we're going to get out of here. And you're not going to put one needle in this kid, and you're not going to draw one bit of blood, and we're going to leave. If there's any issue with that, I need to know right now, but she's in full force labor and I really need your help. And that way you're upfront, you're honest, you're integral, and they'll put Jane Doe for the parents and they'll put Jane Doe for the kid. And guess what? There is no record to you with any date of birth to you. And so when you apply for that passport, that kid's free, free, free. So a lot of different ways to crack that stone.